Since the beginnings of time, humans have invented and reformed cruel acts of torture designed to inflict maximum punishment on prospective victims. Various forms of torture have made their marks on human history over the years. While other species kill out of necessity, such as for self-defense or for food, humans choose to kill each other over ideas and beliefs, such as religion and politics. Modern human civilization has transitioned more into a philanthropist ideology, abolishing many ancient torture tactics. However, the impact that many of these devices have had towards our history is profound. Rat torture was a particularly sinister form of punishment that took the lives of many unfortunate victims. Being able to transition out of a dystopian society requires that we reflect on some of these unspeakable evils, such as rat torture. Rat torture is thought to have been used as far back as 60 CE in the Roman Empire. However, some of the first documented cases of rat torture took place around the 17th century in Europe. Rat torture was a particularly effective means of torture in medieval times due to the negative sentiment held towards the rodent itself. Fear was a common emotion held towards rats for several reasons. One significant reason was the fact that rats were seen as a culprit to one of the deadliest diseases to occur in human history, the Black Death. Also, rodents in general seem to initiate a level of primordial fear in the average individual. All this influenced the hierarchy to utilize a rat as a means of torture. The beasts are known for chewing through almost anything, including human flesh. The method for how rats were used varied between cultures. However, a popular means of rat torture occurred during the Dutch Revolt. The method involved trapping rats in a bottomless cage atop a victim's abdomen. Burning coals were then placed on a small tray atop of the cage, heating the metal from above. This resulted in the rats becoming desperate to escape the heat, forcing them to chew and burrow their way through the only soft area they could find, the victim's skin. Equipped with razor-sharp claws and jagged pointy teeth, rats made little work accomplishing this task. All rodents have a pair of upper and a pair of lower teeth called incisors. Unlike human teeth, these incisors don't have roots, and they never stop growing. The rats could easily make their way into the victim's organs and bowels, effectively escaping the heat at the burning coals. This caused excruciating pain and terror for the victim. More recently, alternative versions have been implemented in parts of South America, including Argentina. Instead of placing the rats against the flesh, soldiers use a telescopic tube to guide the rats into a prisoner's body through the rectum or vagina. This form of torture took place in the 1970s during ongoing conflict in the region. The sadistic level of rat torture seemed to be boundless, knowing no limits in its ferocity or barbarism. The damage inflicted by rat torture can be quite extensive. When placed above the abdomen, the rats have no choice to escape the heat, other than to chew directly into the abdominal cavity. Normally, traumatic injuries to the abdomen result in damages to the small bowel, large bowel, liver, and intra-abdominal vasculature. The rat's teeth are more than capable of piercing and damaging any of these organs. However, given the circumstances that the rats would find themselves in, they would likely try to escape using the path of least resistance. In the medical field, we classify organs into two categories, solid or hollow. Solid organs include the spleen and liver, which have a firm tissue consistency, whereas hollow organs are those organs that have a small or narrow cavity or lumen inside of them, such as the intestines or stomach. Hollow organs aren't nearly as compacted as solid organs. In other words, they are much easier to chew through when you are a desperate rat trying to escape the heat. In this case, the victim's hollow organs, such as their intestines, would pose the least amount of resistance for the rats to accomplish their task. The damage from the rats will likely lead to intestinal perforation, defined as a loss of continuity at the bowel wall. This will result in the intestines spilling their contents into the abdominal cavity or their peritoneal cavity. hollow organs, such as the intestines, leak digestive enzymes and bacteria into the peritoneal cavity. This can lead to infections and peritonitis, which is the inflammation of the peritoneum. The peritoneum is the inner membrane that lines the abdominal cavity and abdominal organs. Peritonitis can make fluid fill up in your belly or abdomen. This can cause severe fluid loss or dehydration. If peritonitis isn't treated, the infection can quickly spread through your body. Ultimately, enough leakage of bacteria into the abdominal cavity will lead to widespread infection in the body. Aside from the destructive bacteria and enzymes leaking into your abdominal cavity from the intestines, the bacteria from the rat bites adds further contamination to an already compromised system. Rat bites, like many other animals, carry diseases that can be devastating for the human body. One such disease, known as rat bite fever, is an infectious disease caused by the bacterium Streptobacillus moniliformis. This is a systemic illness classically characterized by fever, and if left untreated, could kill an individual. Victims of rat torture would have a higher likelihood of exposure to many of these diseases, given the amount of bites they would receive from the rodents. The combination of direct and indirect damages caused by the rodents likely led to the victims going into septic shock. Septic shock is a condition caused by widespread infection, causing organ failure and dangerously low blood pressure. Victims likely perished as a result of this deadly effect. However, in the cases where the victim didn't die straight away from their injuries, torturers would often add the burning coals into the person's open abdominal cavity, causing further excruciating pain. This would cause third-degree burns of the intestines. This type of burn destroys the outer layer of skin, epidermis, and the entire layer beneath. This would effectively destroy what would be left of the organs within the abdominal cavity. There is no amount of treatment or surgery at the time that could fix the extent of destruction that would have occurred to the victim. The fact that people were able to commit these atrocious acts against living human beings is astonishing. The morality of those involved with this execution method was skewed, to say the least. We have come far as a civilization, but there is still plenty of evil that resides in all of us. Rat torture is sinister at its core, yet we are only mere decades removed from it being a normality. Hopefully, with further time and learning, we can move past the wickedness of these ancient abominations.